Yo, 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 this Regg Da Ledge, aka ShoutOut Regg from the infamous Jalen and Jacoby show. I went ahead and started up my own podcast called Know the Ledge. Every week we're gonna talk about sports, culture, whatever going on, we're gonna get into it. You know what I mean? So sit back, relax. If you're on YouTube or you're working out, doing your chores, whatever you do, just take a good listen and we're gonna get into it, all right? Let's go. First thing we're going to get into is All-Star Weekend. Happened this past weekend. It was a festive situation, you know what I mean? A little subpar when it comes to the events, especially that slam dunk contest. But, you know, it is what it is. It's not going to live up to what it was once before, 15, 20 years ago, when you had creative, athletic, free players out there just having a good time. Now it's become something totally different now. People are worried about their image and social media. If I go out there and do a whack dunk, then, you know, everybody's going to clown me and it's going to live on in infamy in social media and 4K videos. So I get it. People don't want to, you know, go out there and do their thing, but still, it'd be nice if we had some like big names in the slam dunk contest. Talking to you, Zion, LeBron, you're too old now, but you should have got into it. John Moran, I heard you want to get into it, so that'd be a good look. You know what I mean? But we need bigger names, bigger superstars, and just some funky dunks. You know what I mean? Some creative stuff. So I wish it would happen. But the 3-point contest was dope. You know what I mean? Dame Lillard came out and defended his title. Then you had Steph versus Sabrina, which I thought was dope. Big up the ladies. Sabrina could shoot, yo. Like she's nice. She's nice. 26 is a big number. You going to get up against the guy Steph Curry, so it's, you know, you kind of is what it is. But she put up a fight. You know what I mean? She put up as much as the dudes put up in the 3-point contest. So can't be mad at that. You know what I mean? Like, it was a good look. The biggest thing for me that happened this weekend was Mr. Jalen Anthony Rose got inducted to the NBA Hall of Fame. Not as a basketball player, but has a community resource. You know, I think it was called the Community Award. Basically, it's just recognizing his contributions to his neighborhood, to his community, post his NBA life. As you all know, he has his own school called the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Go ahead and cop a sweatshirt, contribute, participate. Also, what happened this weekend at All-Star Weekend, Team Jalen won the Rising Stars tourney. Him and his squad, led by MVP Benedict Mathurin. Let me say that, make sure I say that right. Benedict Mathurin did they thing, balling. He even got into it with Detroit Piston Jaden Ivey.
Trash talk right now. So you've been the Rising Star game, you can't go on me. Wow.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
This is what we want. It's spicy right now.
This is the guy that plays for the Pacers against the kid that grew up as Indiana's son. And look at Ivy right now.
Ivy got that look in his eye.
He is processing.
Love trash talk. Players should be mic'd up more often. Mathurin's beef stems from Ivy being selected one pick for him by the Pistons in the 2020 draft. Ivy was born in Indiana, went to Purdue, has parents who are professional athletes, and Mathurin was a little salty that he was, you know, picked ahead of him. So, you know, they had beef and it was shown on the court. It was dope to see. Let's get into the second half. Regular season, not really the second half, but the second half of the season post the All-Star game, because the All-Star game isn't really the halfway point of the season. The halfway point of the season was a few weeks ago. Let's take a look at the standings. As you can see, the Celtics are reigning in first place in the East, followed by the Cavs, Bucks, Knicks, Sixers, and Pacers. In the West, you got the Wolves, Thunder, Clips, Nuggets, Suns, Pelicans, Mavs, Kings, Lakers, Warriors. It's crowded in the West. The West is going to be tough. It's definitely going to go down to the wire. I think the Thunder are going to take the West. I think they're going to, overtake the Wolves. I think the Wolves are going to fall down to the third spot. I think the Nuggets are going to come up and take the second spot and be in prime position to defend their championship. Because I think the Nuggets, led by the best player in the league, are going to really do their thing. I think the Clippers are going to land in that 4th spot. I'm not, I want to believe in the Clippers, but I've been disappointed so many times watching them have a good team fall off when the lights come on. I mean, and it's a lot of pressure for them to overcome what they're overcoming. So I'm just not a big believer in the Clippers right now. They could definitely prove me wrong, but they got to prove it. The Pelicans, I think, are upstart. They have a really good potential to do some great things. Zion can stay healthy. They got a deep bench. They got a lot of players off the bench. Nance, Alvarado, Grand Theft. There's a lot of players on that team that could do their thing. So I think the Pelicans are there. The Mavs are dope too. They got a lot of good things going on, of course, with Luka and Kyrie. But they picked up PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford is a dope player. Leads the league in field goal percentage, catches all dunks. I think he'll benefit greatly from playing with Luka. So I think they're on the rise. I think they're going to move up as well. I like the Kings. They're kind of in that same class as the Clippers. Like, they got a lot to prove. They always, the last few years they've had a good team, but they just haven't been able to get over that hump. So, the Kings have a lot to prove. The Suns, I don't like. Like, KD, Book are official, but Bill gets hurt like every other game. You know what I mean? Like, the Suns, I just don't feel like they have enough. They need a point guard. Devin Book just has the ball in his hands too much. You can't bring the ball up and expect to be the scorer at the same time, even though you're playing with KD. Like, sometimes they really depend on Dev, and I think Dev is just going to get worn out in the playoffs. So, I just don't like what they have. Like, Grayson Allen, like, what are we doing here? Like, I just don't think it's a good look for them. The Warriors, you can never count out Steph Curry. Steph Sauce he's the greatest shooter of all time. Not the greatest point guard, but the greatest shooter of all time. So you can never discount what he brings. And the rise of Kuminga, I think, is going to be big for them. Like, that's my most improved player for the year. Putting up stats, he put up 11 for 11 or 11 from the field one game. Like, nobody's done that since Chris Mullin. And y'all, those who know, Chris Mullin was a shooter. So the fact that you putting up Chris Mullin stats, like, I gotta support what he's bringing to the table. Then of course you got the Lakers. Like, you can't count out LeBron and AD. Like, you got those two guys on the same team. Like, they're definitely going to be there when it comes down to it. The one thing I don't like about the Lakers, like, Spencer Dinwiddie was just another guard. Like, I think they have enough guards. Like, I think they need a big man. Like, I think they need somebody to help support AD. Like, AD isn't a center. AD is a power forward. He likes blocking shots. He likes getting rebounds, but he doesn't like guarding centers. He doesn't like fighting all that weight. He's a light, skinny dude. You know what I mean? So he doesn't need to play center. Like, in the bubble championship that the Lakers won, they had Dwight, they had JaVale McGee. AD's best year with the Pelicans, he had DeMarcus Cousins and Omer Hasek, two big men who played the center and allowed him to dominate the 4. So I just feel like AD needs to be at the 4, and they should have got a 5. They should have got a legit center. It's too bad Chicago didn't want to give up Andre Drummond, because that would have been a nice fit for them to go along with AD. But, it is what it is. Looking at the East, the Celtics are going to run away with it. They have, I think, the second easiest schedule left going forward. So I just don't see the Celtics giving up that number 1 spot. Like, I think they got that on lock. But for the rest of them, I think there's going to be a little shakeup going on. Like, the Bucks, I think, are going to finish at the 2nd spot. I think they're going to figure it out with Doc and Dame and everything they got going on down there. I think they've done some things, and they just really need some consistency. They need some time to cook, and I think by the time the end of the season comes, they're going to find their groove, and they're definitely going to do their thing. The Knicks, the Knicks are promising. Like, the Knicks came up this season. They really have a good team going on there. I especially like the Bogey pickup. Bogey plays a strong 3 or 4, and he can pick up the slack while Julius Randle is out. And then once Julius Randle comes in, move him over to the 3, have Randle at the 4 and maybe Robinson at the 5 if he can come back with Jalen Brunson at the point. Like, that's going to be a squad. You could throw anybody at the 2, Dante, whoever. Like, I think they're going to really do their thing. And they got a deep bench. Like, I like what the Knicks are doing. As far as the Pacers also have a good look too. They got their all-star point guard Tyrese Halliburton running the show. They made a trade and picked up Pascal Siakam. Like, that's going to be a squad. Like, that's going to be a team to deal with in the East. So I like them at the 4 spot. Then you got the Cavs. The Cavs are hot right now. Right now, they are fuego. They are getting healthy. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. Like, they got a squad. They even picked up a solid 3 with Strus. Like, I like what they do. I like what they look like on paper. But unfortunately, I just feel like the teams ahead of them got a lot better, and they've kind of fallen off because it's going to be hard for them to match up against the Knicks. It's going to be hard for them to match up against the Pacers. You know, the Bucks are going to give them a run, and of course the Celtics are going to run them. So I like the Cavs right now, but I don't like them going forward. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't like what they're doing going forward. I don't like how they look going forward. The Heat are going to be the Heat. Like, the Miami Heat are going to do what the Miami Heat do. They have the 3rd easiest schedule going forward. They got, of course, Jimmy Buckets going on. They got Tyler Herro. They got Bam. And they picked up Scary Terry. You know what I mean? That's a big pickup for them. So I think when it comes down to it and the heat is on, the Heat will be on. You like that? So I like the Miami Heat. I think they're going to do their thing. The Orlando Magic. Hey, the Orlando Magic, they do their thing. You know what they do? They play defense. They're scrappy, they're young, they got them young legs, and they play defense. I like what they do. I like the Orlando Magic. Unfortunately, when the air gets thin and they get into those playoffs, I don't know what those young legs are going to look like. Like, there's a lot of pressure to play in the playoffs. Like, the regular season is cool, but once you get into the playoffs, it's going to be a different animal. So I don't know if they're going to get out the first round, to be honest. Like, I just don't know. Like, and they don't shoot the 3 well, so it's going to be tough for them. But I like them going forward. I like them at that 7 spot. And unfortunately, who's left? I think you know who's left. The Sixers. Like, the Sixers, they should be a top 5 team. But Joel Embiid getting hurt really hurt their chances of doing what they need to do. I mean, during the trade line, they let go of Pat Bev, and they picked up Kyle Lowry. I laughed because I read Pat Bev got beef because his boy Nick Nurse picked up his boy Kyle Lowry and shipped him to Milwaukee. Like, I think that's a big pickup for Milwaukee because it helps them at the defense and at the point guard. But it also hurts Philly because Philly is now not as tough as they were. They're not as strong as they were. And Kyle Lowry is a good point guard, but he's not a defensive player. And I don't know how much he's going to play because he hasn't played a lot over the last year or so. So, you know, I don't know about that. But I do like the Buddy Hield pickup. Buddy Hield, let me look at my stats real quick, has been averaging 22.7 assists, 4 3-pointers a game in the 4 games he's played with Philly. Shooting 54% from the field and 46 from 3. Like, if Buddy can do his thing, Buddy could be a major contributor. And peep this out about Buddy. Buddy is one of the players in the league who's gone the longest without playing in a playoff game. You know, I like Philly, I like Buddy, but I like them at the A spot. And then the play-in, I got the Bulls. I think the Bulls are a good, scrappy team. Like, you got to show up to play them. They're not just going to lay down. Like, they have a good team. More than anything, I like what they're going to look like next season. If they can get Lonzo Ball healthy, get Levine healthy, you know, get everything on track on that team is going to be something. That's good. Chicago's got a squad. They got a roster. They just need to get healthy, in my opinion. I like what Chicago is doing. I like Chicago a lot, actually. And then you got the Hawks at the 9 spot. You know, Trae Young, Javante Murray, like they got a good team. Jalen Johnson is a really good player. He's actually putting up Jokic stats, believe it or not. He's averaging 15 points per game, 8 rebounds a game, 3 assists per game, and shooting 60% from the field. The last player to do that in their rookie year was Nikola Jokic in 2017. So I think he's doing his thing. I like Jalen Johnson a lot. So the second half is going to be tough. Those are my picks for the rest of the season, where I think the season is going to end. I got the Celtics at the number 1 spot, Bucks at the 2 spot, Knicks at the 3 spot, Pacers at the 4 spot, Cavs at the 5 spot, Heat at the 6 spot, Magic at the 7 spot, Sixers at the 8 spot, Bulls at the 9, and Hawks at the 10. Then out the West, I got the Thunder at the 1 spot, winning the West. Got the Nuggets, Wolves, Clippers, Pelicans, Mavs, Kings, Suns at the 8 spot, Warriors, and the Lakers are going to sneak in there. I feel like the Lakers are going to do their thing. Now, one note out the East, the Nets could catch the Hawks. That could be a tough matchup to look at later on in the season. I like what the Nets are bringing. The Nets have the second easiest schedule going forward, so they're going to win some games. They got a new coach. They got interim Kevin Ollie in there, so you never know. They could do their thing. They can catch the Hawks, because the Hawks turn over the ball too much. They turn the ball over way too much, led by their point guard, Trae Young. Trae nice on the offensive game. He assists, dimes, threes, like he do his thing. But the boy will turn over the ball. So, that's something to look at as well. So those are my picks. Also over the weekend, the Hall of Fame finalists were announced. And as of note, the 2 biggest names I saw that came out were, of course, Vince Carter and Chauncey Billups. I think Vince Carter is a lock. He's a legend, dunking machine, all-around good player, dominant player with Toronto. Longevity, he has everything you want except the rings and the championships and MVPs and all that stuff. But Vince Carter does his thing. Then you got Chauncey Billups. I like Chauncey. I think Chauncey's going to get in. I like his chances. And if you don't like his chances, look at Reggie Miller's numbers. They basically have the same numbers, the same stats, except Chauncey's got a ring and a Finals MVP. Reggie played in more games and probably shot like a little bit better, but they basically had the same stats. Like, I really like what Chauncey brings to the table, and I think he should get in that Hall of Fame as well. The other inductees were Michael Cooper from the Lakers Showtime. Shout out Mike Coop. They retired his jersey at Pasadena High School in my hometown, Pasadena. So shout out PHS. I went to Blair, so I don't really mess with PHS like that. But, shout out them. And of course, executive Jerry West and the legendary Doug Collins are finalists for the Hall of Fame. I really like those two. Their finalists has contributors to the game, not players, contributors. So I think they're really good. I think they should get in as well. Big fan of Jerry West, of course, and really a big fan of Doug Collins. I've worked with him a few times, and he's really a nice guy. I really enjoyed chopping it up with him and talking basketball. He's a good dude. All right, let's talk some WNBA. WNBA, that's right. We're repping the ladies around here. Candace Parker re-signing with the Aces. She didn't play too much last season due to injury, but she's coming back this season to help out the defending champs. I think you can just wrap that up. The Aces they're going to three-peat. They're going to three-peat. Like they have an awesomely good team, and they showed it last season what they can be with their MVP, Asia Wilson, doing her thing. Like, I really think they're a solid team. But getting Candace Parker, hopefully she can play a season. That's going to be tough. Candace averages 16, 8, and 4. But more than anything, she just brings like a veteran, understanding to the game, and it just adds more to what they already have. So I really like Candace Parker re-signing with the Aces, and I think this solidifies their position as defending their championship and going 3 times. Shout out the Aces. Shout out. Skylar Diggins-Smith went to Seattle. big up her. She didn't play all of last season due to having a child, so now she's back in the game. I'm really excited to see her back on the court. She's a solid player. Just in case you don't know, she averaged 16, 4 assists, 2 boards, and 1 steal over her career, and she's a solid player. I like to see her be out there playing along with an Ogumike and Joel Lloyd. Like, I think they're gonna have a tough team. They're not gonna beat the Aces, but I feel like they're gonna have a tough team. So in other news, I got something I want to talk about with y'all. Stephen A. Smith. Now, I'm someone who used to work as a part of the production staff at ESPN. I used to work along with a lot of different talent, including Stephen A. Smith. And let me just tell you, we got a basketball court on the side, right, in the studio. You can come out there. All the talent will come out and shoot. RJ, Vince ducked on me on that court, but we're not going to talk about that. But, Jalen put up some shots. Stephen A. Schiff's put up some shots. And his jump shot was, it was not it. And this surprised me because from what I heard, based on what he's always said, he's always been somebody who played in the past. It was actually pretty good. Didn't of course make it, but I heard he played like Division II or something. Like, he was really supposed to be that guy. Well, that jump shot tells me something completely different. Jump shot was terrible. Over the All-Star weekend, you saw him shooting during the celebrity game, and his jumper looked nice. It looked like he put some work into it. And guess who was shagging balls for him? Lethal Shooter. So what that tells me is Lethal Shooter is out here getting bags. He fixed Drake's jump shot. I saw him working with 21 Savage. Like, he's getting bags out there. He fixed Stephen A. Smith's jump shot. So if you need your jump shot fixed, holla at Lethal Shooter because he can do his thing. I don't need him because my jumper is nice. You don't believe it? Try me. Let's talk about fantasy. What's your fantasy? What's your fantasy? That's that dog pound. Y'all don't know nothing about that. But we're going to talk about fantasy basketball, fantasy football sometimes. I don't really mess with fantasy baseball, but we definitely going to focus on football and basketball on a daily. Basketball is going strong this season. Got a couple weeks left in the season. One player I want to focus on, who's the focus of my frustration on my fantasy team, is Jordan freaking Poole. What happened? Like, bro, like, what's going on, G? Like, you good? Like, because you ain't good out there in that basketball court. Like, my God. Like, he's tanking my team. Like, he puts up wild stats. What does the stats look like? Let me do 15 points per game, 2 boards, 3 assists. 40 from the field, 30% from 3. 86% from the free throw line. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, he's supposed to be that guy. He's currently ranked the 61st player in fantasy right now. 61. Cam Thomas is better than him right now. Like, I don't get it. Like, Jordan Poole, I don't know if this Ruby Rose sideline situation then distracted your whole season or what, but bro, I need the second half. I need you to get it together, please, for my fantasy team, please. Sneaker of the week. Y'all know I'm a sneakerhead, so I gotta shout out the sneakers that have come out, or just my favorite sneaker at the time that I'm rocking this week. This past weekend, the OG Jordan 4 Breads came out. Let me see if I got a pair of them sitting around here somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. The OGs. They came out this weekend, but they came out in like this leather rendition that was actually pretty dope. I didn't cop because I already got enough shoes, but I think they were pretty dope. One thing I want to note and teach you guys is that if you don't have the Nike Air branding in the back of your shoe, you're not real. Like, we know you're not real as a sneakerhead. Don't put sneakerhead in your bio if you don't have shoes with the Nike Air in the back. If you got the Jumpman in the back, you're not really doing it. You're not really doing it. You know what I mean? Like, the OGs, Spike Lee made these famous. Like, these are world class, world famous shoes. Like, these are it. These are, every sneakerhead in my mind should have at least 2 or 3 pairs of these in their collection. These are OGs. These are great great shoes. So shout out MJ for bringing them back. Shout out MJ for wearing them. Just shout out MJ. And finally, last topic of the day is new album of the week. Every week I'm going to try and find an album, whether it's new or whether it's old, that I keep in rotation. This week is a new album. It's from OG John Connor. Y'all might recognize his name. John Connor been out for a minute. He was signed with Aftermath. He was on the XXL's freshman list in 2014. Like, John Connor is an MC. He got bars. He got serious bars. He put an album out called 3. And it's not your normal album. Basically, it's an album calling out all the gimmicks, all the the ass shaking going on with MCs and everything. And he basically put them on blast. And he talks about a lot of real stuff. So I suggest you guys all check out this John Connor album. It's a dope album. Like, it's not, it's not clean. He obviously curses in it, but his subject matter and where he's going with his songs and the point he's trying to make, I think is important. And I think a lot of cats need to hear it and understand that there's still real hip hop out there. There's still dudes out there really spitting, not just talking about cars and clothes and girls and all that stuff, but they're actually really rapping about real things. So, I think you should check it out. It's a dope album. 3, John Connor. So that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. If you want to send me a message, like you got some rebuttals to what I had to say about my picks for the second half, I love the conversation. If you know me, I love talking sports. So let's get into it. Holler at me on Twitter, Big Reg 23, BIGGREGG 23. Email me, text message, whatever it is. I ain't gonna give you my phone number and email though, so good luck with that. But going forward, we're gonna do this every week. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try and get some guests on the show. I've been talking to my man Big Crown. Shout out Big Crown. I'm gonna get him on the show so you guys can hear his voice and talk to him a little bit about his Chicago isms, you know what I mean? And and you never know, I might get some old friends or some from a certain show that I used to work on, and maybe they'll come on the show. I'm not guaranteeing anything though, because one of them has many children and the other one is on the run. So I'm gonna try my best, but I again appreciate you guys for checking in, clocking in, listening, and let's talk next week. Peace.